Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. You've just tuned in to Women's AM. This morning I am joined by Sister Mona, Sister Yasmin and our special guest, Sister Siddiqah. Welcome back, sisters. So Sister Siddiqah, alhamdulillah, you know, as I've mentioned before, you are an entrepreneur, a therapist and a mum, subhanAllah. How do you juggle all these things? Because it's a big task, you know, each and every one of them. So what do you do?
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But alhamdulillah, I work from home. Well, my husband works from home and my business is just across the road. So we can organise around that and we work with each other. So alhamdulillah, that works really well for us.
Alhamdulillah.
It was really difficult in the beginning. I mean, alhamdulillah, I've mentioned in a previous programme, I'm a mother of 6. With the first twins, when I had my twins, it was really difficult for me to try and focus on anything with my career or my education. Because there was a lot of illness involved with one of the girls. She's a special needs child. She had meningitis, so she was back and forth, in and out of hospital. A lot of people that had their children in with a lot of illnesses, I used to find it really difficult to talk about, but alhamdulillah, now it's easier for me to talk about it. But what happened is a lot of couples broke up at that time. I was very fortunate that I had my family support, that my husband was my rock. But 8 months of being in and out of hospital and having 15 brain surgeries with my daughter, and I just had cesarean as well. You don't think about yourself, you sort of go into autopilot being a mum, but it does leave a big dent, it does leave a big mark on your life. You think you're fine, at that time you're focusing, you're thinking you're fine, but you're not fine. You know, you're not dealing with it, you need that support. Not everyone is fortunate enough to have that support. And to be told that you're suffering from depression is another depression on itself. You don't want to hear it. So to tackle that yourself, it's like you're fighting a battle inside yourself. And then you find that you're a survivor. How do you find that you're a survivor? Because alhamdulillah, I'm a Muslim. I came back and my roots kept me. I remember my health visitor visiting me once, and she sat there. She gave me a form, I was filling it out. And towards the end, she goes, do you have a time where you think that you want to sort of end your life? And instantly, I found that quite violated in a way. You know, I felt like, why are you asking me this question? Not my deen, my Islam would never allow me to think like that. So, you know, your faith, alhamdulillah, allows you, it brings you back those roots, you know, it allows you to think, well, no, I can't think like that. I have to pick myself up. Alhamdulillah. I have to move forward and I have to be there because I have these beautiful little girls that are relying on me.
Alhamdulillah,
so,
mashallah.
You know, just, you know, it was a hard battle, but
it's that iman that draws you back.
It does draw you back. It really does draw you back.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, that's what's kept me going.
Inshallah, we'll be going into the discussion, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. So let's get cracking and go straight to her views, where today we'll be discussing coping with mental health issues. How many people do you know that suffer from mental health issues? Can you even tell? It's often that those with mental health problems are pushed to the side and those who don't are given the status of being normal, producing a barrier between those who are suffering in silence and those who are not. Is this how it should be? What does the Quran and Sunnah have to say about these very people we seem to know nothing about? So, as always, this is a live discussion with the sisters on the panel, and we'd love to know what you think. Please do call into the studio to put your comments or questions to the panel. The number is on your screens now, or you can tweet us at Islam Channel, #WAM. So, Siddiqah, I'm going to come to you first. I mean, mashallah, you've touched upon some of the problems that you faced, but what is, you know, mental health? What is mental health issues? What's been your experience?
My experience, my personal experience, was with the neurotic diagnosis. Now, there's two kinds of mental issues. There's psychotic and there's neurotic. Nobody can diagnose this for themselves. It's best to go back to your GP and get them to assess it. Because obviously the severe kind, you do have to be intervened with doctors, medication. There's a lot of counselling now that's involved as well, and doctors will push you towards counselling. But if you are fortunate and lucky enough to have family that are there to listen to you, it's about the right kind of balance. Sometimes you want to be able to listen to, and there's other times where you just want to scream out and share your pain. But the one thing that people don't realise when people are going through depression, they don't want to be dictated to. They don't want to be told where their flaws are or where they're going wrong. And I think that's where friends and family can find it a bit difficult. So if you're if you find that your family member or your friends are suffering from depression or they're having mental issues, then just to be there for them, just to let them know, look, I'm here when you need me, and just to occasionally just repeat and say those words rather than going, well, actually, I don't think you're doing this right. I don't think you're fit enough to be a mother. They don't need to be told that. That negativity draws them even more deeper and lower and pushes them down. Those couple of words that you're saying, they can
Definitely.
push them down even more. And they might be thinking, well, actually, especially in the Asian community, it's a sad fact that it's a taboo. You know, it's been brushed under the carpet. Oh, don't talk about it. Pick yourself up. Move on with it. What are you talking about, woman?
Yeah, I mean, there is that stigma attached. I mean, why do you think that is, Sister
I think mental health issues are very misunderstood, and we should treat them like any other illness. If you've got some pain somewhere, you go to the doctor or you talk and you deal with it. The same thing can be said about mental health.
It's true. It is due to a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation and ignorance, sheer ignorance. And we often think, or a lot of people often think when they think of someone suffering from mental health illness, someone really scary, someone causing trouble on the streets. And there are so many forms of mental health problems. And very rarely do we think they look like us, they look like you and I. Just look in the mirror, that is what a person who is suffering looks like. So don't frown upon these people. I think that's what the main problem is, and that's where the stigma comes from.
According to the Mental Health Foundation, they said 1 in 4, so one of us really, 1 in 4 experiences some kind of mental health issues at least once in their life. But most people can move on and recover very, very well. That's what we should remember. If you have someone in your family who's suffering from depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, there's so many different. Just be patient, because most people recover.
I think we tend to have like this view that certain illnesses are shameful as well. I think in certain communities,
especially in the community that people are talking about.
Exactly. And you know, we tend to feel like, okay, we don't want to talk about it. If there is, we know someone or family member that suffers with some sort of mental health issue, that, you know, we kind of hide it from the community, and, you know, we kind of
people say.
Exactly.
I think it's about educating now, and there's no harm in admitting that you can educate the elderly and the young. I mean, in the society and the community, it's a sad fact that we live in. What they'll say is, oh, we're educating? No, that's for the younger ones. You don't need to change our ways. We're stuck in our ways. And it's so sad. And I think one of the suggestions that I've given forward in the, in our community network that we're working in, we're saying that it's important to send someone that knows about depression, about these mental health issues, into the mosques. And educate them so that the imams and the women and everybody, they are more acceptable to this, rather than saying, no, actually, you need to pick yourself up, get up, you know, get on with life. It's a sad fact that a lot of women that I deal with, especially in my profession, when they're coming in, it's the mother-in-laws. You know, it's the mums, it's the aunts, it's the grandmas that are saying, in our time, we did this. They relate it back to their time. I'm sorry, it's a sad fact, but their time to our time, there's a lot that's changed, and they need to change with the time to adjust. Islam was there until the end of time.
And not everyone's the same. You can't compare it to their time and our time. Not everyone's the same.
Each person is different from the next. Each sibling is different from the next.
Especially women, according to the same Mental Health Foundation, 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 sometimes suffers from anxiety or depression. 1 in 4 women. So it's very prevalent, but we might not know it. I mean, I've had issues with anxiety. I've had, alhamdulillah, that's it. Alhamdulillah, depression, I cannot say. I've been through periods of sadness where for a month or so you're low, you're numb. But as in depression, you need to, it's 6 months plus, then you're diagnosed with depression. There's 2 different types of depression. One where you're numb and you're uninterested in anything. You don't enjoy anything you used to enjoy before. And the other one is the complete opposite, where you do too much. You take on too many things just not to be alone with your thoughts. So there's different. We need to be able to see that.
I've suffered with both in those aspects. With the twins, when I had my twins, all I wanted to do was move on, get on, and just do things. I didn't want to be at home. I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts.
I think we forget to acknowledge that it's an illness, and as Muslims we forget that Allah has told us with, you know, every illness there is a cure except death, and that's something that we forget. But alhamdulillah, we're going to come back to this discussion. So far the discussion has been really informative, but we will be going for a short break. But just before that, a reminder of this week's competition.